Down the line we have a number of clovers, yellow sweet clover as well as white clover, red clover, and then an alfalfa treatment in there, which the goal is to establish that in an oat crop or in a barley crop, in a wheat crop, and then quite a ways over there we've also got it under canola. And really just asking the question, can we get these established enough that in the second year it actually could be used either for a hay crop or potentially a seed crop, or in the case of organic farming as a plow down in the spring that you could then use for that nutrient boost, bearing in mind that it would have taken time for the nodes on that legume to begin fixing nitrogen. So ideally it's going to provide a good boost of nitrogen in year 2. There is some question, and I think I'd like to turn it to Scott at some point to ask about the potential for some nutrient sharing or that dynamic that is often asked about. But in the more tangible term, the more immediate tangible sense, for example, here, this chicory leaf, which looks a little suspiciously like dandelion too, so you may be tempted to knock it out. In a pasture mix, if you were to have a chicory seed in there, you wouldn't really see very much if it was in an annual hay crop and your goal was to take that off for silage or bale it for green feed. You really wouldn't see a whole lot in there, right, on this year. But in year 2, the plant will grow, sometimes it'll be 4 feet tall and it has an amazing taproot. Even in year 2, I think it already has established quite a taproot down there. And then flowering, so you get a lot of insect activity. I'm kind of thinking, and this is really almost sandbox thinking at this point, is that if the yield of the cereal in year 1 is decent, and then that has provided the chicory, for example, the time to establish, if you were to seed an annual hay crop over top of that in year 2, you may actually really see some very significant growth of your chicory that would actually meaningfully add to that hay crop, where I don't really feel convinced that this, by this time of year, is going to be worth your trouble. You know what I mean? Especially once it dries down, it'll just kind of not turn into much. Further down the way, we do actually have year 2 to work with over in another location where we did our clovers or our alfalfa underneath. And on all 4 treatments, we did see pretty good results. There was pretty crappy results from the white clover, which just isn't big enough or competitive enough to do much. It might be good if your goal were to provide a cover crop going out of the season, so that you remain, you have some living ground cover going into the fall. For a lot of the regenerative ag people, that's a pretty important aspect there. And then likewise, you would have something that would green up and become alive right first thing in the spring. Hello. But the idea then, from our perspective, more would be to have a quick establishment of a clover or some type of a forage crop following this crop here.